What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency Podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York, and I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, founder of Sound Harbor Insurance in Long Island, New York. Sean, this is the first recording we've done after the meetup, so it's funny to be on screen with you when we were just in person for a few days, which was awesome. But what a great time that was.
Man, it was a freaking awesome time. Like to get together with everybody who we've had a lot of people on the pod that showed up to the event. It was just good to get together with everybody, cool, man, and talk shop. And in the virtual world we're in now, just to get together, talk shop, shoot the shit, and just talk about all our problems that we all have was really freaking cool.
Yeah, no, it was good. But I'm looking forward to sitting back with my notes today because we're going to be talking about a topic that Sean spoke about at the meetup, but it's right up his alley and gets him all fired up. So I'm not going to steal his thunder here. We're super excited to have Andrew Rasson on the show today, who's the Director of Strategic Partnerships with Smart Financial. Before we recorded, so we might as well just clear this out before while it's recording. Andrew did confirm with me that he has heard that upstate has better pizza than downstate. We're going to leave that right there, but that's good that we have another vote for that, Andrew. So we're friends already. I appreciate it. How are you today?
I'm great, man. I'm so happy to be here. You guys are doing great things with the podcast. So I'm happy to be a guest and be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, before we get into like the lead stuff and what you guys do, and I can imagine, I haven't talked to Sean yet, but I can imagine he has a million questions around this topic. Just tell us about your journey. What got you into the insurance space? What got you into Smart Financial and how that worked, and what brought you to where you are today?
Yep. So my specialty is the marketing and sales aspect. So I went to Sonoma State University up north in Northern California, studied marketing, and from there I had a good handle on what I wanted to do. So I was looking around after college. I mean, I joined this company eight years ago, so not too long after college, and I wanted to be a part of a company that did digital marketing, and I knew I had that natural sales ability, and I just went straight into it. I was like 23 years old and joined the company as an individual contributor and learned a whole lot about the program and how leads are generated. I think that's something that agents really should be totally understanding of, is like, how does that lead get to you? Like, what does digital marketing mean? There's a whole lot of talk about search engine optimization, and what exactly does that mean, and what's the difference between search engine optimization and search engine marketing, pay per click, things like that. I think really understanding the ins and outs of how a consumer finds a company like Smart Financial to request a quote, right, is something that I really got a good handle on and understanding of. And being more of a consultant for agents was my strategy when I was an individual contributor, really explaining to agents what this program entails and how we can help them. And took a few years for me to move up the ranks, and now I lead a team of 10, and I handle all of our agent-facing opportunities. So whether it's conferences, webinars, podcasts, things like this, I sort of act as the face of Smart Financial, and I'm blessed to do so. So that's kind of my journey, and I pride myself on really coaching agents not only on really what lead gen is, but what they need to be doing with that lead to be successful. Because we could do the best at generating a quality lead, but really the process of execution is the most important part of purchasing leads. And I know that we're going to get into that on this podcast, but that's a big piece of what I do with our current customer base is, I'll hold, webinars, podcasts, things like that, where we will go into in-depth training and coaching on what are these best practices, what do you need to do when you get the lead, and how long you're calling it for, call cadences, objection handling, all that stuff is imperative when working with leads. So that's a little bit about my journey.
Awesome. Andrew, how do you guys, I think it'll just be good to get right into it.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you guys help independent agents?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So our strong suit, like I mentioned, it's the digital marketing side. So agents, we want to help you focus just on selling, right? Focus on managing your teams, selling insurance, working with them on claims, whatever the case may be, servicing them. you don't have to worry about that digital marketing side because there's so much that goes into it. I mean, Smart Financial is spending upwards of, probably more than $200 million a year on advertising our own web properties. So it is, right? But it's needed because you guys know how expensive it is to market on Google. And that's the hub. I mean, if you're not putting up your ad on a search engine like Google, you're missing out on the majority of shoppers. I mean, what for you guys? Like, if you're looking for a product, not insurance, because you know the industry so well, but if you're looking for a product in general, what are you doing? You're going to Google, right? That's where we thrive. So Google Ads, paid search, SEO, which is something you can't pay for. I think there's a lot of confusion around that. Some customers think that, oh, you're paying for SEO. You don't pay for it. You invest into your own business to work on optimizing your page, but you're not actually paying Google to be on the forefront for SEO. So how do we help agents? Well, we take off your plate the most important side of marketing, which is digital marketing, because 75% of shoppers, they start their shopping online for insurance specifically. So if you're not targeting the internet to be able to field these inquiries, then you're missing out on so much. There is a huge piece of the business where referrals come into play, community marketing. That stuff is super important when it comes to independent agencies, but that aspect of digital marketing needs to be there. So we take the need for you to do that yourself off your plate, and all we do is provide you with that opportunity, whether it's in the form of a real-time lead, which is when the lead gets directly imported into a CRM within a minute of that person submitting the quote request, or it's where our team gets that lead on the phone ourselves. We have our own call center that's all US based that pre-screens these prospects and makes sure that they're actually interested, that they want to quote, ask other qualifying questions, and then warm hand off that call. So all you really have to do is wait for that lead to come in, and then use your salesmanship to bind that policy.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, to sum that up, it's you generate leads for independent agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think what I think is really cool about it too, and Stephen and I were talking really in depth about this, is it is such a good way to learn about your market that you're in. Like, I think back to when I first started in the insurance industry, and I didn't know much about insurance, but I stumbled across internet leads from nationwide agents that I worked with. And I didn't really know who the competition was, or, who the top market was. But let me tell you what, when you buy internet leads, you find out quick, because you're getting consistently, 5 a day or whatever you decide to do. And you see what the competition is right away. It's not I have to go network. All right, I'll get one lead 6 months from now once people get to know me a little bit more, and then I'll figure out what the market is. You find out day one the second you start getting leads.
Right.
So I feel like that's just and not that networking is wrong. It's just it just shows like the difference between the two. And I think it is such a good way to almost throw a salesperson into the nitty gritty to get learning as fast as possible. So that I feel like that's one aspect of it. Just to dive a little deep, Andrew, because some questions that came up during our meetup was, one of them was like, hey, how do you generate the leads? And you touched on that through Google Ads. You guys are doing Facebook.
We're doing Facebook
as well.
We're doing Meta. We're doing TikTok. Wow. We market in affiliate ways as well. So what we'll do is we'll advertise with maybe Credit Karma or CarMax, or because what's someone doing? They're buying a car. They probably need insurance. Maybe on Redfin or Zillow, right? Someone's buying a home. They probably need home insurance. So we want to be able to have our ad, our banner ad, our native ad anywhere where there's a potential that person could be looking for insurance. So we work with an ecosystem of publishers like Zillow, like CarMax, like Credit Karma, like insurance.com, where we can pay per click, which is one of the main ways of media buying.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, all right. So let's say a consumer sees the ad, they click it, they fill in their information about their property or whatever they're shopping for. What happens after that? It goes to 2 people, 3 people, 9 people, 9 agents. What does that look like?
It's a great question. So it really depends on what that specific agent is signing up for. There's a few different options. Gotcha. So when that consumer finds one of our web properties, we own and operate dozens of web properties. For example, Smart Financial is our flagship, but we have UnitedStatesInsurance.com. Landing, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we call them web properties, but they're exactly right. They're landing pages. UnitedStatesInsurance.com, for example, FastInsuranceRates.com. The list goes on. Compare-business-quotes.com. NevadaInsurance.com, IllinoisInsurance.com, TennesseeInsurance.com. I mean, our founders went on a domain buying spree early on in their career. Yeah, now we own over 100, and what we do is we design the quote funnel to be streamlined across all of these web properties so that they're all very similar. It's the same technology. It's the same way of vetting, right? We're pinging the phone number and email, making sure that they're valid contacts. We're timing how long the consumer's going through, filling out the form. So we want all of that technology to be under our belt. And then once they submit that quote request, that in real time is going to go directly to the standard is 3 total agents. So 2 other agents besides, the customer's self, right?
Is it usually 2 captive and 1 independent, or does that depend on?
It just depends on the marketplace. It could be 3 captive agents, 1 Allstate, 1 Farmers, 1 State Farm. It could be 3 independent agents, right? It depends on the marketplace and who's really wanting to purchase a lead at that very time. But you can also purchase that lead exclusively for an additional cost, right? So that lead would just go to you instead of going to 2 other agents. And then additionally, the warm transfer product is completely exclusive. So that it's all in real time. I think this is really important to note that you're not going to get this lead a day later or a week later. I think that's some of the common things that we hear, from some of our competitors. But what's really unique about what we do, and I think this sheds a lot of light and it gives agents a lot of transparency. We haven't heard of another lead service doing this. When we generate a lead and we send it over to an agent, in our dashboard, you'll be able to click on a link on that lead that takes you to Trusted Form. So Trusted Form is a product of Active Prospect. This is one of the most common products that services like ourselves use to be able to get a certificate of consent, which is really, really important for TCPA. We know about TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. You have to get an opt-in and a consent from the consumer to actually get a quote, right? So not only do we get that certificate of consent where we can see them opting in and so on, but we're providing a screen recording to the agent where they can see the consumer going in, filling out the form, clicking the boxes with timestamps, with their IP address, the browser they were using, the device they were using, and really important as well, the link that they clicked on to get to us. So you get all of these insights that most services don't provide, because most services are aggregators. They're lead services that purchase leads from external sources and resell them as their own. Whereas Smart Financial, we're one of the only services that actually generates all of our leads from our own landing pages, as you mentioned.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Andrew,
that's huge.
I want to tee you up with something, and then I'll explain it, and then I want a broader response. So let's pretend that we're on an elevator together in the Marriott in Long Island, and we're both heading to the Chinese place, but we don't know it. And I say, I'm in insurance. What do? You say, with Smart Financial. Okay, I want the 30-second response to this. Leads don't work. Go.
Great topic to talk about, because we get it all the time. It's not that leads don't work. Many times it's the processes behind working that lead, right? Because many agents, they'll feel like, okay, I'm going to buy a lead. I'm going to call it a couple times. If they didn't pick up, I'm wiping my hands clean of it. It's not a good lead. There is a diligent call cadence and best practices that go into working that lead that make sure that you're actually finding success with it. And it's also about the right expectation. If an agent buys 10 leads and they didn't close any, they might say that the leads don't work. But guess what? They didn't have a big enough sample size, because realistically, the industry standard on conversion for an internet lead is between 2 and 5%. So you need to buy 20 plus leads to actually see some sort of success. So what I would do in that situation on that elevator.
Is it that low? Wow.
It's funny that you say that, Sean.
So let me stop you for a second, because I wanted to tee you up with that, but then I want to give you an opportunity to explain all the details and give you a little background.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sean and I met like 3 years ago. I started my agency 3 years ago. Sean's 4, something like that. And I came from a family agency where it was walk-in traffic. Grandpa told the son to come, you know what I mean? Like that was it. I went and started my scratch agency and met Sean. And I'm like, this guy's buying leads, working out of his bedroom at the time. What? I don't like, it was so foreign to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what did I do? Hey, Sean, what are you doing? Oh, I'm buying leads. I'm getting this type of return on it. Great. All right, let me give that a try. And I went through Smart Financial, and it was not a Smart Financial problem. It was a T5 and Stephen Turnbull problem. To your exact point, and I didn't realize that, right? And I think I paid like $500 for leads for a month or something like that, and didn't sell one of them. We're just not set up for it. Never to say that we're not going to do it in the future, but I didn't realize that until Sean and I developed a relationship and saw, no, this works, but you have to do X, Y, and Z. Whereas, I'm very community based. So maybe I'm at a board meeting at noon and a lead comes through and I don't get back to him until 3. That doesn't work. And it didn't, it was the realization of going through, which also, side note, if you're ever looking for anybody to talk to people, talk to agents, Sean is your guy, because the presentation he gave at our meetup about leads was amazing.
Awesome.
But it took that realization of, oh, we're just not set up for it. And it's not a Smart Financial problem. It's not Smart Financial leads don't work. It's not leads don't work in general. We don't have the processes around it to be successful. And I think that is the biggest misconception right there that people don't understand, because that was me, frankly, a year ago, 2 years ago, when Sean and I started having this conversation of how our agencies are set up. That's what I want you to rip apart.
Yeah. No, you're 100%. And that would be the first thing that I ask when someone says that in my 30-second spiel is, what was your process, right? What was your experience? And you might come back and say, hey, I spent $500. I called each lead a few times. Some of them didn't pick up, and I wiped my hands clean of it, right? Then I would take that step to dive in and set the right expectation. I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, if an agent comes in, and to Sean, to your point, you were like, is it really that low? Well, if an agent comes in and they expect to close 10%, they're going to be sorely disappointed, right? So they're already setting themselves up for failure with the wrong expectation, right? So, we have to understand that even with 2 to 5%, when the lead is right priced, this is a profitable experience. Let's say you're converting at 3%. Let's say your lead is $6, right? I'd say that's about average of a lead cost for, an auto or a home lead with Smart Financial. So let's say, maybe life as well, right? So let's say $6 for a lead. Say you're buying 100 and you spend $600 and you close 3 of them, right? Your cost per your cost per bind is $200. Now you do the math to figure out that that's profitable, right? It's likely that, when you're able to get a referral and you're cross-selling and you're renewing and all that kind of stuff, that it's a really great return on the investment, right? So that's, I think, being able to paint that picture for agents is a big piece of what our team does to be able to really set that right expectation and take a step back from just looking at the percentage of conversion numbers to what does the actual premium look like from what I'm about to write. If I'm spending $200 to write a policy and I'm making, a decent premium from it, and I'm making more commission than $200, then I'm doing really well, right? But yeah, no, to your point, Stephen, automation, technology, having dedicated producers that can be quick to the draw, that can be persistent, that are using the right rebuttals to overcome objections. I mean, there's sales fundamentals that go into this too, right? You can do your best to use automation and technology and your call cadences to get the lead on the phone, but if your producer or yourself gets the objection, hey, I want to shop around or I want to think about it, and you say okay, and you let them do that without asking the right questions, which is, what is exactly holding us back? Did I miss something? Did I not cover all your needs? Then you're missing out and you're not going to sell that policy, right? So there's so much that goes into it. There's a lot of variables, but what our team does best, I believe, in this industry is set the agent up for that success by giving them all of those insights and coaching and making sure that they have the right expectation and the right resources to really execute on these leads.
And Sean, I know you have a ton to break on that, and one more thing on that, and then we can move on. But you're so right, because we're 100% referral based at this point. It's just the way our agency is set up. It's the way I've operated. That's just the way we are. We get 3 to 5 warm leads a day or so, and those are Mrs. Smith told me to call you. I'm having this pain point. I'm having this problem, and they said you were going to help. Those are very warm. That approach is much different than the lead approach.
The sales
And
approach.
and
Yeah.
that sales approach and that sales conversation is much different. And again, I'm just putting myself in the hot seat. I didn't realize that until I realized it, right? And having these
Yep.
conversations with Sean and realizing, why am I completely falling on my face with these? Oh, because you took 6 hours to call him back because you're doing this, this, and this, and you don't have a process around it. And so I know Sean wanted to say one more thing, but I'd like you to touch on just like for somebody listening to this, and Sean's conversion rate is 10%, by the way. He'll never say that to pat himself on the back, but I will. And because he has the process freaking dialed down to a T, right?
Totally.
So somebody that's looking at this and listening to this conversation, like, where do you start? And I think it'd be interesting, Sean and Andrew, to reply to that. Like, where do I start with creating my process and if I want to go this before I just go by the leads and say they don't work?
Andrew, please let me hop in here.
No,
I'm ready
please
to
go
jump
ahead.
out of my
Yeah.
All right. So something I wrote down prior to this, because I knew this part was going to come up, is that leads aren't the problem, right? It's what you do with them. And I truly believe this. It's what you do with them in the first like 3 minutes that determines your success. Automation, automated emails, automated texts, all that stuff, obviously it'll help a little bit. But if you are just starting out with leads, just do this one thing. Make sure that you know what time the leads are going to come in. You have it blocked out on your calendar. And as soon as the lead comes in, you call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If you do just that, I'm pretty confident that over time, it's going to take you a little bit of time, but over time, you'll be at 5% or more. If you just do that, pick up the phone and call them. Because I read some crazy statistic on this, and I talked about it at the meetup. And it was so crazy, I didn't even believe it. I had to like look up and check 3 different sources. And it said that you are 391% more likely to make contact with a new with somebody who fills out a lead form if you call them within 1 minute of receiving the lead. 391%. And it was like something crazy. Every other minute after that, it drops like 80%. So, I mean, think about, and psychologically, like think about what goes through the prospect's head if they fill out a form in real time and you call them within a minute. I can't tell you, I've had several times where the person's like, whoa, I can't even believe you called me that quick. Now think about what's going through their head. They're going to think, oh, wow, Sean's really on top of his stuff. He must really get after it for his client. You know, they just start thinking he must really know what he's doing. He's experienced, blah, blah, blah. And it just sets you up for success. So I truly believe if you just call within that minute, or you could probably even do 2, but I would say if you could do it within the minute, you're going to be more than profitable with the leads. And it was funny, Andrew, like during the presentation, like afterwards, I had a couple people talk to me about it. And they're like, oh, you know what, like what automation do you have set up? And like, I didn't even want to go into that because my whole thing, and like I said this too, like if you don't call, just don't buy leads because it's going to be you're just going to light money on fire. You know, I know you have a lot to add to that, so I'll let you
go. No, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, speed to lead is not a phrase for no reason. Like you gotta be quick, and calling within, as quick as you can within a minute. Like it's extremely effective for contact. And to add a statistic to what you're saying, if you are the first person to actually contact that consumer, your chances of closing that policy, writing that policy, are 80%. Right? So they go with that first company that calls them 80% of the time. So you gotta be quick, right? And automation for texting and emailing, it should be there. But it should be the secondary response, right? Dialing and calling and getting them on the phone is that first step. So I mean, it's clear as to why you're successful. You have that right mindset. But to Steven's point, like where do you start? Well, you start with staff. I mean, if you're not the one calling that lead, you've got to have a sales rep. You've got to have a producer that's not doing service work. It's not focused on anything else. This producer is a producer, right? When they see a lead come in, they get to it right away. So to your point, Sean, knowing when that lead is coming in is important, but with internet leads, because that lead can come in sporadically at any time based on the consumer, which is a good thing, right? We want that. We don't want to say, okay, your leads are going to come in from 9 to 11 a.m. and they were leads that were generated prior, right? We want that lead to come in real time as that consumer submits the quote request. And we don't know when that is. You'll give us some hours, but it's wise to give broad hours, maybe 10 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
so because a lead can come in during any time, having that dedicated producer that could drop whatever they're doing to get to that lead is really the first step. And then using things like technology and automation. When I say automation, yes, I mean automated emails and text, but I also mean auto dialers, because it allows for you to make 100, 200 dials a day. Because guess what? You're going to have to be following up with all of these leads that you didn't get on the phone on day one. And guess what? You're probably not going to get in touch with 50% or more on day one. That's just the reality of internet lead marketing. So you've got to be able to have a call cadence in place. And what we suggest is the 3-3-3-3 method. I know it sounds weird, but first day of getting that lead, we advise agents to call at least 3 times. And that's just day one. We advise a double tap as well. Are you guys familiar with the double tap?
That I can't believe how big of a difference that
makes. It's so effective. It works on me. Like when I see my phone ring and it's like a random number, right? And then I don't pick it up, and then they call me again. I'm like, okay, this is an emergency. I'm going to pick this up and see what's up. It works like a charm.
Yeah, but also too, there's something with the phones where they, like, if you call right away, like if you call it, it sometimes just pushes it. Like if it tells it's from a business, it can push it to like voicemail or something. But then if you call back right away, it pushes it through.
Oh, I haven't.
It's like a screener or something. Yeah, I've had it happen a few times. Yeah. Like so I'll call and it just goes right to voicemail, and then I call it again and then it rings.
Interesting. Yeah. It's more power to the double tap, right? So double tapping works like a charm.
The 3-3-3. Man, sometimes I get nervous, like saying that type of stuff, because I just feel like it could overwhelm people. I'm gonna be honest. Ryan and I, just for clarity, 3 calls in total. That's it.
That's it. And you're effective like that. That's amazing. Well,
call right away. Call. Do the double tap if you have to. Call at the end of the day, and that's it.
That's it. Well, that's just day one, right? But if you didn't get that lead on the phone on that day one, I hope that you've got a cadence to follow up with that lead.
Automation,
Perfect. Yeah. So where that 3-3-3-3 comes into play is, so that first day is 3 calls, double tap, and then for the next 3 days you're calling twice a day. For the next 3 weeks you're calling once a day, and for the next 3 months you're calling once every 3 days. It sounds like a lot. I know. Trust me, it does. But again, it's a mindset thing. Well, first off, if you feel like it's too much for your producer, then that means you're probably not using automation and a CRM with task setting features where it could just pop up, you dial it, 30 seconds later, then pick up, you're on to the next one. Makes it really easy for a producer. But number 2, if you think that you're bombarding the consumer, that is where I try to help agents shift their mindset, because the reality is this person's looking for insurance. That if you don't get in touch with them, they're going to buy insurance with someone else. And if you've got pride in yourself as an insurance agent and your agency and what you're doing for customers, then you want to be able to prevent them from making a mistake and going with someone that is not you, because that you're able to deliver not only better products, but better service. You're selling yourself and you're having confidence in that. If you have confidence in yourself that you are going to be the best person to deliver for that consumer, then you're going to call a million times, because you want to prevent them from making a mistake. And you can be transparent with that if they are upset, or if they mention that you're calling them too much. That's the stance that some of our successful top producers take, right?
I love that. Never thought of it that way. That's good.
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways to tackle it, but from if you wanted to go at it, and Stephen, this is what we talked about in the meetup as well. If you have somebody who is just starting out with the leads, my thought process is, as the agency owner, especially since most of the listeners are scratch agents and they might not have a big team yet, is to work them yourself. Because let me tell you what, there is nothing more powerful than going to your producer and saying, hey, look, I just bought 1,000 leads and I bound 100 of them, it generated this much revenue. And if you did this yourself, this is what the numbers would look like. So if you don't have that proof of concept, you could still do it. It's just harder to do, in my opinion.
Totally.
So that's like one thing. And then the other part of it is start slow. Like, you don't have to come out the gate with 10 leads a day. You can say, hey, let's do 2 or 3 a day, just so you can start to figure out what the conversations are like. Just understand the flow of them, how to handle them in real time. Like Andrew was saying, like the click to call is a big deal. Like if you have Ring Central or you're using a VoIP, like have it connected. So this way, when the lead form comes in, you just click the number and it automatically dials it.
Exactly.
Like that makes a big difference.
Exactly.
And then from the automation standpoint, from a very easy, if you're going to set up automation, like the simplest way I feel like is just start with the instant email and text. So the lead form comes in, and you could set this up in your CRM. Smart Financials connected with Agency Zoom, I'm sure with other CRMs as well. The lead comes in, it hits your inbox, it automatically goes into Agency Zoom, and Agency Zoom automatically texts and emails them. And it could just say something simple like, hey, I just saw that you requested the homeowner's insurance quote online. Once I'm off the phone, I'll give you a call to, verify the information and make sure we're
I love that.
you
brought, I love that, the once I'm off the phone thing, because it buys a little time, and they're like, oh, he texted me. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's just
bringing that up.
You want, well, Langeal talked about that specifically.
Yeah.
Chris, shout out to Chris Langeal from Advisor Evolved, killer. And you want to tailor just the automation, like short and sweet, so it's easy to read and digest, and make it not sound like automation.
Right. Humanize it.
So yeah, humanize it a little bit. And I think if you just start with those 2 pieces, the auto text, auto email, and a phone call, you're off to the races.
Totally.
Andrew,
you got to track the data.
One last point I want to bring up here that I think about a lot, and talk to Sean too. Talk to us about the success that people you guys work with, agency owners, agents in general, that are new to the business. And we touched on it very briefly, but I wanted to just hear, your success stories or general thoughts around it. Of, you have a new producer that either maybe they're new to sales, maybe they're new to the industry, whatever, but it can give them that reps automatically through the leads. And obviously, one takeaway should be from here, make sure your processes are set up so that's successful. But can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great point. So what we do during our initial onboarding is we understand the agency and where they're at in regards to tenure, and we customize their customer journey based on their tenure. Some agencies, especially scratch agencies or brand new agents that may have just taken over a book of business or something along those lines, they'll need a little bit more support, and they'll need a little bit more resources than others, right? So I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the most important parts of working with a lead service or any marketing in general is actually engaging with the metrics and looking at your numbers, looking at, what's your cost per quote, right? So you could buy 100 leads. How many have you quoted, and what's your cost per quote? What's your cost per sale? How much premium have I written? Really understanding all these numbers. So a big piece of what we do with agents to have them see success right away is, first we go over those best practices, but then we help them track these numbers so that we can optimize it. So I think that the most important part to working with any agency, but especially someone that's brand new to this business, is helping them really understand what success looks like in regards to those numbers, tracking them, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and then optimizing them. For example, cost per acquisition, let's optimize that and get it lower and lower week over week or month over month, because the lower it is, the better return on the investment that the agent is getting. So we work with agencies with all walks of life, right? Maybe it's an Allstate agent that just purchased a book of business, or Farmers or State Farm, or maybe it's a brand new scratch agency that literally has no contacts, they have no book of business, and they need to write insurance, write leads, write policies. That's where more of that training would come into play on that forefront, and potentially that agency can afford a little bit higher of a cost per acquisition as well, right? Because they're making maybe more commission, because it's all new business. So really understanding these things and setting the agent up for success is what we do. Was that the right answer to your question, or was there something more specific?
Yeah, one other thing I have is, can you walk us through like what it looks like for the customer journey when they hit these landing pages? I know you had a different name for
Yeah,
them, but like Sean and I were talking the other day, might have been this morning, I don't even know. But you were saying like, oh, I talk to people all the time, like, how'd you find us? And they're like, oh, I've
yeah,
seen your ads everywhere. It was on Facebook. So if they go to UnitedStatesInsurance.com because they saw the ad and it says auto insurance and that comes through, and then that gets sent out, like what does it look like from their
yeah.
standpoint as far as like what should the agents expect that they think they've done, if that makes
Yes,
sense?
yes. Great question. I think what's really important that goes into that is the messaging, even on the forefront, even on that ad that they clicked on United States Insurance to get to the web property. Like that messaging, it's so important for it to be the right expectation for that customer. One of the most important things that we do is we don't incentivize, we don't trick the consumer into getting to our page, we don't offer a gift card, we don't offer anything else but insurance, right? And a big piece of our strategy to drive traffic is actually writing content. So a form of how we get a large majority of our traffic is we'll do industry research on what are people searching, what's hot right now. Oh, maybe someone's trying to figure out the difference between buying a Kia or a Honda, right? If we're seeing that people are searching things, we're going to go ahead and have our content team go ahead and write an article about it. And that means that we'll naturally pop up at the forefront without paying for it, because we're literally putting in the title the same thing that our research has showed people are searching in the search bar. So that'll populate our page. They'll read an article. They'll see on the banner, an opportunity to get a quote, and then they'll click on that link, and they'll go to the page where, again, no pop-ups, nothing else but about insurance related material, and they'll go through and they'll start putting in their own personal information, contact information, vehicle information, current coverage information, desired coverage information, right? And then at the end of that quote funnel, they'll click submit, and our messaging will say, "Thank you for requesting a quote. An agent will get in touch with you very shortly." Right.
Mm.
And then within that same minute, they'll get a call from an agency, likely. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
think it's
Sean, have you
important.
had any, just on that topic quick, again, this is a non-leads guy over here asking this question. If they go to UnitedStatesInsurance.com and fill that out, and then you call and say, "Hey, I'm from Sound Harbor Insurance," has there been any disconnect there, or are they just assuming because
Never.
it's so quick that, oh, these agents calling me, this is who I request the quote, let's go through the process?
Yep. Yeah. No, I've never in 15 years had one person question it. They might say, "Hey, where are you calling from?"
Right.
Sound
Sure.
Harbor Insurance. And that is part of like the sales process, and something I feel like we didn't touch on is like just scripting. You want to have a little bit of a what to say when you call the prospect. And I always like to say when I first call, like I always throw in that it's Sean Fitzgerald from Sound Harbor Insurance in Bayshore. I always say that because I don't want them to think I'm in a call center in a different state or overseas or
That's
whatever
great.
the case is. So I think if you can like connect that local presence right when you call it, it like diffuses any uncertainty that they may have,
Additionally, what can really bridge that gap is, instead of saying, "Hey, this is Sean Fitzgerald with Sound Harbor in Bayshore. I'm going to be helping you with your quote. Let's go ahead and get started." Instead of saying that latter part, you would say, "Hey, this is Sean Fitzgerald with Sound Harbor, in Bayshore. I'm calling in regards to the quote you requested for the 2012 Honda Civic, and you're living on 123 Baker Avenue," right? So you're giving them the information that they've submitted in basically your introduction, so that it can be very clear as to why you're on the phone with them.
Right.
100%.
I like that, man. That's all part of the process. And I'm just, it's been a year or so since I tried the leads, like I said, but I'm just thinking like I didn't have any of that. Sean's like, "Oh, they just send you an email and great," but like
I probably could have set you up for success a little better.
Yeah, Andrew, we're gonna blame it on Sean if that's okay. But no, I mean this was incredible, Andrew. I think there's a lot of good value here, and my biggest takeaway is like, don't try it unless you can have the process to set up, because it's not a lead problem, it's a you problem. And if you don't have that and you don't take the time to set it up properly, you're not going to have the results you need. But I appreciate you being here. What's the best place for people to reach out? Smart Financial in general, just learn more, check out the content you guys put out, whatever it might be.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking that. So, obviously, www.smartfinancial.com is a great one. You can click on About Us and then For Agents to get more information on our agent-facing product, which is the lead gen. My contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. And then my last name, RASS as in Sam, ON as in Nancy, at smartfinancial.com is a great spot to reach me. So please feel free to email me, ask questions, get connected with me. And to your last point, which is like, don't buy leads unless you have the process. Luckily, we bake that into our service because we know when we're trying to figure out like why are some agents more successful than others and how do we make these agents at that same level, we put it on ourselves. Like we don't want to just cross our fingers and hope you do well. We bake that into what, Sean, you work with Dave. Dave is all day spending his time with agents, coaching them on how to work leads. And we get that free of charge with Smart Financial, just along with the cost per lead, because it benefits us. When you're more successful with the lead, you're going to spend more money, you're going to stay with us longer, and it's our business model. So we'd love to connect with any agent listening to this and really help you at the end of the day, grow your book of business at a cost per quote that's low and profitable for you.
Love it. So good. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate the time. Everybody, that's another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. Most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks so much.